I'll just follow your lead.
All righty, Gerry, we're live. Welcome to the Bottom Line Show Live After Show. We finally made it, and it's time to big brand whose business?
Your business.
Your business, baby, because that's the only business that counts is your business. So, Gerry, you hit a home run on our show today, and we are going to elaborate on some of the points that you had about branding, because I love the way you effectively communicated. You're showing us with your own branding how to do what you're telling us what to do. You told us that we need to basically tell people what it is that we promise them if they buy whatever we're selling, whether it's a product or service. So I have to ask you, please elaborate on that again, because that's how we opened our show, and I want to dig a little deeper.
Well, people today want to do business with people they can trust. And it's natural for us to love brands that we believe in and admire and respect. So the idea of presenting yourself as a brand, especially as a big brand, is you saying to the world, hey, guess what? I'm not like everybody else, and here's why. As opposed to, well, let me kind of tell you what I do. Let me show you my product. I'm very good at what I do, blah, blah, blah. And that doesn't cut the mustard anymore.
No, and it doesn't cut the mustard because there's a plethora of businesses, not just live, brick and mortar, but we also have a flood of businesses that are online. It's an infinite number of businesses because we have new ones that are being born every second. Who knows? We probably had thousands that have been born just since we started this broadcast a few seconds ago. Because that's the nature of the online, not just online, but the world that we're living in now. So give us a few tangible examples of people in specific industries and how they've, giddy up on this.
Well, anybody can brand a product or a service. The key is to believe that you have something that is extraordinary, that is different and better than the rest. It doesn't matter if you are offering services like coaching, if you're offering legal services, if you're an architect, if you're a financial advisor, or if you're offering a tangible product of any sort as a manufacturer. The idea is if you've got something that can make a tremendous difference by solving a problem or improving an outcome of some sort or performing some kind of miracle or making people feel a certain way, you've got at least one reason to big brand it. And so I branded everything from business services to personal services. I even once branded a funeral home.
Oh, you got to tell us about branding a funeral home. Did you resurrect the funeral home?
Well, it's an amazing story because it's a fourth-generation funeral home from my home city, Detroit, Michigan. And they had decided to open up a second location in a different part of the city where they were not as well known. So when you look at it from that perspective, their goal was to stand out, get noticed, and attract new customers. I know that sounds kind of morbid, but they're looking for
they're a business.
Customers. Exactly, that's the business they're in. So the idea was, hey, how can we brand a funeral home in a way that's going to get people excited about what they offer versus the other funeral homes in the area? So we started looking at the services that they provide when the memorial service is taking place and how to have a celebration perhaps, or maybe give people a package of different things that their brand offers that would make them stand above and beyond the competition.
Yeah, again, it's in marketing I always talk about, and I believe that marketing and branding are very closely related. You can't do one without the other. But whatever sizzle and shines, that's what makes you stand out, pop out from everything else, and it's that sizzle and shine that makes you get noticed.
Exactly. So, and Lillian, what I like about what you just said, sizzle. You gotta brand the sizzle, not the steak. You gotta brand the bubbles, not the champagne. You gotta brand the whiff of the coffee, not the coffee. And so when I work with small business owners, one of the starting places I ask them is, hey, brightest. What are those customer situations that allow you to sparkle so that we can brand your brilliance. And all of us have a brilliance about us, whether or not it's inside of us or if it's carried through the products that we are offering the market. But the key is to get zeroed in on what your brilliance is, and then go to the market bearing the gifts of your brilliance for all the market to see.
I love that. Brand your brilliance.
Brand your brilliance. And then that gets people what? Excited. You're engaging people, you're connecting with people, you're igniting purchases because people are thrilled that you finally have something that they've been looking for and have not been able to find today. And that's what I show entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, mom and pop businesses how to do as a small business owner.
That sounds cool. So it's funny you're talking about funeral homes, and Forest Lawn here is not just a cemetery, they also are a funeral home. But you know, there's a certain elegance and a reverence that's part of their brand. You don't just think of a little hole in the wall place where you're going to go that's very dark and somber. There's, believe it or not, even though it's a funeral home at Forest Lawn, there's something light and airy and elegant and regal, but that's because they've made a conscientious effort to brand, market, and promote that, which I can't think of anybody else in that space doing that as well as they have, because nobody else comes to mind.
And Lillian, what it speaks to is that regardless of what you sell, you have to stand out and stand above your competition. Because as I was saying earlier, nowadays the buyer is very savvy, selection savvy. They're discerning. They know they have other choices. So you can't just make the assumption that, well, because I'm good at what I do, or I've got a great product, that the world's going to be the path to my door. No, it's no longer that easy. So you've got to do everything you can to not only separate yourself from the competitive herd, a stampeding herd. You've got to make sure in that separation that people see you as being shoulders above the rest. A big brand, a high-performance brand, an elite brand that says, I'm best in class, I'm top of the shelf.
Yeah, and so for example, moving from the funeral home, let's pick a couple of examples to kind of give people some things that they can kind of sink their teeth into. What would be, I'm tempted to even use the Pasta Family cartoon series, although the general population doesn't do entertainment, but just to kind of give people an idea, because basically the skeleton and the format is the same. It's the mindset that you're approaching it. Success principles stand the test of time, and they also stand the test of industry, which is why it doesn't matter whether it's laundry detergent or whether it's a car or a funeral home or the entertainment business. You're very effective and helpful in having people be effective and brilliant at their branding.
Thank you so much. Well, it could be any kind of service. It could be any kind of product. It all starts with, in step one, determining what is that blue ocean, unoccupied market space that would allow you to say, I offer you something that you've been looking for that nobody else has. Because you basically want to say, and I know this sounds simple, I know you've been looking for A, B, and C, and you've been settling for D, E, and F. Guess what? I've got the A, B, and C. Now that gives you what's called brand attraction. But then on top of that, you want to be able to say, and you want to know what else? Nobody else has this but me. Now you have what's called brand distinction, which is you putting yourself into that blue ocean market space that none of your competitors are claiming. Nobody is saying what it is that you're saying. Nobody is going to build their brand around this extraordinary point of difference. So like this morning I talked about Charmin, who says irresistible softness, right? If you look at Howard Schultz, when he started Starbucks, he didn't say, hey, we got great coffee. The Starbucks brand was built around what? A unique coffee experience.
Yes.
Because none of his competition were talking about the coffee brand, right? Cup of coffee. Same thing in the airline industry. Here you have Southwest Airlines. The brand has been built around one thing called cheap airfares, which is fine. And along comes JetBlue. JetBlue comes in takes on Southwest,
That's
most
true.
profitable airline in America, and what do they say? We make flying fun. And if you fly on JetBlue, they got a little more leg space. You've got the little videos on the back of the seat. You can watch the monitors. The flight attendants a little bit friendlier towards you, as opposed to the Southwest business model, which is a good business model. But basically, their model was what? Line them up, herd them onto the plane like cattle, right?
Cattle call. Absolutely.
It's a cattle call. Sit in there, pack like sardines, and herd them off. I mean, that's their model.
Yeah, and some people, you know, no, that's their niche. You know, it's like there's some people that don't want to pay for the luxury. They figure, you know what, a Yugo will get me there just as well as, you know, a Mercedes or a Rolls Royce. I don't want to pay Mercedes or Rolls Royce prices. I want to pay Yugo prices because it's a car and it'll get me there. And then there are people who are like, no, I'd rather go with an Infiniti or a Lexus, and maybe they'll go JetBlue because, let's face it, it's a much nicer, more pleasant, very clean experience, you know, going through JetBlue.
Correct. Yeah, and it's all about differentiation, right? It's all about separation. It's all about having a lucrative separation. So you mentioned the car rental industry. Here you have Hertz and Avis and Budget, who have been around for eons, slugging it out at airport locations. When Enterprise came on the scene, they said, you know what? There are a whole lot of people out there who are not looking to rent a car at an airport location. They just want to take their car in for some repair work at their dealership or their mechanic, and they just need a car to rent for a day or two. Enterprise comes in, dominates that market, and differentiates itself by saying what? Free pickup and delivery. Even now they take debit cards as opposed to you got to have a credit card. And now look at Enterprise, who is, I believe, the #1 car rental agency in the market. What's the takeaway? The takeaway is to simply look out into the market as a business owner and ask yourself, what is the biggest customer complaint about your product or service? What is going unsolved? And start from there.
Yeah. It's, again, finding the need for what it is that you provide, because like you're saying, if all the car rental places are looking at, you know, just going to airports and that's the only audience, the reality is it's like, okay, well, yeah, any auto repair, any insurance company is going to need the services too, because when people are in car accidents, the first thing, their car gets towed, guess what? They have a huge need for transportation, so that's another need. And if you think about it, well, hello, the largest pool of people and kids who need getting to and from, who are very active also, are universities. So and I don't know how many car rental places even focus on universities, but I'm sure that if they decided to focus on major universities and campuses and junior colleges throughout the country, that would be another whale of an account to land, because you can put some sort of grouped package where now on volume, probably every car that you have in your fleet would be out. If kids could rent the car by the hour, let's say, because college students may not need the car all the time, but they might need it for an hour or two a day, or for 4 hours to go on a date, or what have you, you know?
Oh, yeah, and I believe there is a car rental agency that's doing that, but their brand name escapes me right now. But when you just said that, it kind of made me think about razor blades. Now, I don't know if you know this about guys who shave with a razor. The basic way the razor blade market works is you can go ahead and buy that initial razor pretty inexpensively, and you get 2 or 3 blades with it. But when those blades are dull, you now have to go out and buy new blades, and those blades cost a lot. So these two guys decided, you know what? Let's go ahead and launch a brand, not a service, a brand called DollarShaveClub.com. I'm pretty sure that's the name of it, where men can get razor blades online, replacement razor blades for $1. And this company has built this multi-million-dollar brand in a relatively short period of time because what? They solved a problem that men were complaining about.
Wow.
So when I work with small business owners through my coaching and through my classes and all the stuff that I do, I tell them that's where you start. Where's the complaint? Where's the gap? Where's that place in the market? where you can plant your flag and say, I know that you have certain needs and wants that are not being met, or they're being met poorly, and I've got the ultimate solution. I've got the ultimate outcome that you've been dying for, and now I'm here.
And that's where you find your riches, in that little niche, and exposing it. I love it. I love it.
Well, you know, you hear me say it all the time. If you want to get rich, find your niche.
If you want to get rich, find your niche. I like that jingle. Boy, you're full of brand your brilliance. If you want to get rich, find your niche. We're going to have Gerry's Urban Dictionary of branding and good stuff. Well, and I don't know if maybe on that high note we should wrap it up, but I think this has been awesome because we got to sink our teeth a little bit deeper and kind of give people more examples of you know, just other possibilities when it comes to branding. And again, I really think it's important that people think about, it's a way of thinking. It really is.
It really is a way of thinking. You have to see yourself as a brand as opposed to simply a product or a service. We live in a brand conscious world. People prefer to do business with a brand because that's you saying to the marketplace, I can assure you of receiving X. I can assure you that I'm going to deliver to you exactly what it is that you want. And you know what, Lillian? It's so basic. It's simply finding out what do people want from a product or a service like yours that they're presently not getting, and you simply decide, okay, we're going to go ahead and give them what they want, and then they can decide if they want what it is that we say they can have. I mean, really.
Absolutely. Well, and you know, and you think about it. I love the fact that you started with the Starbucks example of Howard Schultz. The fact that you know, when he first went to raise capital, I know for that particular company, you know, he was telling his investors that he was going to take a 50-cent, you know, paper cup, you know, of coffee and sell it for $4.50 to the public. But he didn't just say it that way, because what he did was, in my opinion, he emotionalized it, because he was able to express the experience around paying for that $4.50 cup, because it was more than just the coffee. Sure, yeah. People can go to McDonald's through the drive-thru, grab a quick cup of coffee. It's less than $1. They're in and out of there. It's even flavored. But that's not what he was offering at Starbucks. I read his information and studied the Starbucks model pretty extensively, because it's something that us entrepreneurs, as you know, we do as we're building the different businesses. And one of the things that I noticed was that he had come from Italy, and he had noticed what it was like, the difference between having a cup of coffee or a cappuccino in Italy in a bistro or a cafe, as opposed to having a cup of coffee here in the United States. And this was before, obviously, Starbucks, and before Coffee Bean and all those other places were up and going, Pete's Coffee. But he wanted to bring that experience, that sense of community, that interchange between multiple people, either two people meeting at a particular place. It's not just about having the coffee, but the experience of two people or more coming together in a place that is set apart specifically for that. Whether it's for social purposes or it's for business purposes is irrelevant, but it's a social engagement experience over this higher grade quality coffee. So it's the environment and the space that he's creating. And then, of course, he coupled that with a few other unique selling propositions. I know he also said, oh, by the way, to his investors, yeah, we're, you know, even our 20-hour-a-week employees, they're going to get full, you know, they're going to get health care coverage. They don't have to work 40 hours. And they said, you're going to be able to turn a profit? And he said, oh, yes, because he was very driven and passionate about that for personal reasons. And look, Starbucks is hugely successful. No one can argue the success that they've had. But very few people I know that turn up, that bat an eye at buying a Starbucks on any kind of a regular basis, not just experiencing Starbucks there, but now even going through the drive-thru. So he has this ancillary benefit that came as a result of his original born idea. But he emotionalized.
Lillian, that is so well put, and thank you for elaborating on that. And the operative word for our viewers is experience.
Experience.
Because a brand is a promise of what? An experience, a customer experience. And you have to decide what adjective do you want to put before the words customer experience. Is it going to be an undeniable experience, an unsurpassed experience, an exhilarating experience, an amazing experience, an incredible experience? But every kind of product or service that's making your customer feel a certain way, and that's where the experience connection occurs. And so where so many entrepreneurs and solopreneurs and mom and pops and contractors and MLM people and everybody else that's out there, where they're missing the mark is in their languaging, in their communication, in their speaking, on their websites, they're out of their own lips, through their social media postings, through their marketing materials. They're not connecting on an emotional level that lets their audience know there's a certain kind of experience that they're going to receive that they're going to be very, very appreciative for. Instead, they're putting out dull communication, boring communication, communication that pretty much presents them like everyone else. So people start shopping around on the internet and they start visiting different websites of the competition, and they stand out as pretty much looking like, sounding like everybody else. Now they're just a commodity. And like I said earlier, they're just a jar of mayo. And you never want to be looked upon as just a commodity, just a banana, a bottle of water, a paper towel. No, you got to have distinguishing features built around those things that define you, that allow you to go to the market offering something that truly is in a class by itself.
So it really, if you really think about it, everybody in every business has points of irritation that either you as a business owner have, or you know that your clients or customers has an irritation, a bother, some sort of sore point that doesn't feel good, some sort of pain. And if you can really pay attention to that, like David Corbin talks about, illuminate the negative. Don't ignore the negative. Illuminate it, because oftentimes in recognizing and embracing that negativity, the flip side of that is, you know, a very large benefit. So you can't really afford to ignore that. And I think if more business owners were to take the time and say, okay, what are the pain points in my business? You probably could do whole branding and marketing just from that point alone.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll give you a couple of quick examples. One time I worked with a husband and wife. They had a payroll processing business. I asked them a very basic question, the same one I shared earlier. What's the biggest complaint in the industry? Customer complaint. And they said, inaccuracy. The market leader is ADP, and they're known for printing checks wrong. I said, well, do you ever print checks incorrectly? And they go, no. We're always 100% accurate. I go, well, why is that? They said, well, we have this quality control process, and because of that, we never print a check wrong. So I said, go out there and make this crazy, knock your socks off brand promise that says you promise to print every check correctly, fund their entire processing cost. And the response from the marketplace was, where have you been? Thank you, hallelujah. We're sick and tired of mistakes on the part of ADP. And this little husband and wife turned into a 60-employee company within a year, and then they went on and sold the company for a 7-figure amount built around that brand promise. I had another guy, commercial real estate appraiser. What's the biggest complaint? What is your market looking for? What do they wish could be changed? And they said the biggest complaint in the industry is turnaround time. Most commercial real estate appraisers take 7 to 10 days to get their appraisal report in. I said, how long do you get yours in? He said, I can get it in there within 48 hours, 72 hours max. He said, Jerry, I've been trying to land this big bank. Make a long story short, he went into the bank and said, I'll get you your appraisal reports within 48 to 72 hours. And they said, you got the business. Here it is. The next thing you knew, he had doubled, tripled his business within a 30 to 60-day period.
Yeah,
all built around an outrageous, one-of-a-kind promise of a customer, very important to their target audience. As opposed to, here's what I do, I'm good at it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's too broad. It's like you talked about earlier, how about, everybody knows that you can go to the United States Postal System and mail anything, any letter, any package, anywhere in the world. But everybody knows if you absolutely positively have to have it there by tomorrow morning at 10, you go to FedEx.
Exactly.
You don't go anywhere else other than FedEx, because you know that anywhere on the world you can get that absolutely positively have to have it. FedEx can deliver that without a shadow of a doubt. Now, it costs, but you're willing to pay for that absolute guarantee. It's done. It never fails. And so you're paying extra for that quality, that guarantee.
Exactly, because when the FedEx brand was created, and he literally created the overnight delivery industry, it really didn't even exist until Fred Smith came along and created Federal Express, is what it was called at the time, because there was a void in the marketplace. You've heard me tell the story about the guy I used to work with in branding at P&G named Dean Butler. He worked in a cubicle behind me, one cubicle over. Brilliant brand strategist, was there for several years. He took his wife to the optometrist to get her glasses fixed, and the optometrist says, okay, we can get them fixed, come back in 10 days. And Dean goes, 10 days? What's the problem? Why does it take so long? Well, we got to ship the glasses out of state, and yada, yada, yada. And Dean goes, is she supposed to walk around blind or something?
For
and
10 days.
Yeah, so he storms at the guy's office, takes the next year or so, analyzes that industry, quits his stellar strategic branding position, manager of Ivy liquid detergent, and started a small business called Lens Crafters, with the brand promise of eyeglasses in an hour. Eyeglasses in an hour. So great brands and great wealth is built strategically, not through marketing tactics. The strategy has to precede the tactics. You wouldn't go to Home Depot and grab some lumber and some nails and start hammering away. You might want to have a blueprint to follow first, and that's what the brand strategy is, which is what I do. I'm the brand architect.
You are the brand architect. I love that.
The big brand architect.
Big brand architect. This is awesome, Gerry. We can always be assured that you will absolutely, positively, guaranteed deliver the goods when it comes to branding, because that is your niche, without a shadow of a doubt. This has been a blast again. We'll have to do it soon again. And I don't know if there's any closing remarks that you would like to make before we wrap this up.
Well, the only thing I would just like to say to our listeners is know that what's coming can be better than what's been. What's in front of you can be much more prosperous than what's behind you. However, you have to be willing to do some new things to have some new results show up in your life, as they say. So it's okay to go out on the thin ice. It's okay to climb out onto the skinny branches. It's okay to go into some territory that you may have never been there before. But you know what? Today it's all about being radically different. It's about saying something and offering something and promising something that, yes, it may not be comfortable for you at first. It may end up with you saying some things and doing some things that are very contrary to the way things are in your industry or your category or in your space. But what I say is this: you learn from Richard Branson. You learn from Jeff Bezos when he created Amazon and literally rewrote the book-selling industry. You learn from Fred Smith when he created FedEx or Federal Express at the time. You learn from Fred DeLuca, who created Subway sandwiches because people were looking for healthier alternatives in terms of what people can eat as a sandwich. You learn from the guy who created Cirque du Soleil, where I think he makes something like $1 million a day or something because he said, I'm going to be radically different and take the best of Broadway and combine it with the best of the circus and serve up an experience that's magical that will leave audiences feeling breathless. These people are no different than the owners that are watching this broadcast right now, but you've got to first make the decision that I'm going to big brand my business, I'm going to stand up, I'm going to get noticed, I'm going to attract customers unlike anybody else because it's my time.
It is your time. That is awesome. All right, Gerry. Well, thank you. We'll end on that note, and this will be automatically uploaded to YouTube, so it will be also on TheBottomLineShowLIve.com, and they can obviously come back here to G Plus and watch it at any time in the future. But thank you again for another awesome session.
You are welcome, and thank you for having me on your show again. BigBrandFormula.com. It's going to. I'm actually revamping it. It's going to be up soon. In the meantime, I look forward to serving people as best as I can.
Fantastic, and we'll have your website on the Bottom Line Show website as well, so that people can get a hold of you. All right, take care. Have a fantastic day.
All right, you take care too, Lillian. Love you. Bye-bye.
Love you too. Bye.